What's up, everyone? Jeremy here from MTG headquarters, covering a kind of a rough topic, but I'm not going to make too big a deal of it. People have been cheating since the beginning of time, and what I want to do is arm you with a little information, dispel a little bit of some of your fears, and have a little bit of fun. So here we go, Dirty Rotten Cheaters, cheating style technique for Fate Reforged pre-release. The first side is going to be I want to try to like preface things a little bit and talk about intent is everything, right? So when you're at a PTQ or a competitive event and you're playing and your opponent does the old scry 2 nonsense, whoops, I took 2 cards, it's a little different than if someone does it at pre-release. Now, here we're kind of hit with a letter of the law versus the spirit of the law type scenario here. So I want to let you guys know that everything in this video is kind of based on how I deal with cheaters and view cheaters. And if you want to be specific to the rules, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to maintain the integrity of the game by enforcing rules. I tend to ask myself questions like, okay, well, did they make a mistake? Is that mistake forgivable? There are times in pre-release where you get a lot of people who are used to like kitchen tabletop magic, and you attack, they declare blockers or something, and then they're like, oops, I forgot to cast Flying Crane Technique. I meant to cast that before combat. Like, you lose the game, right? That's the type of mistake that usually when I run into it, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Tough break. If it's somebody who like attacks and then they say, oh, wait, I don't want to attack because they see you have like a bigger creature that they would lose a trade to, I usually let that kind of stuff go. But you are your own barometer, and certainly you have every right to enforce every rule. You have to be the one that decides how strict you want to be, but at least try to be understanding and that there are varying degrees of mistakes, right? The old oops, I draw 2, the scry 2 mistake is not as egregious as, say, bringing in cards from the outside. Now, if they do that more than once, it's not a mistake. Now they're just cheating, right? So I want to share some of the things I've observed and some of the things other people have observed so you can keep your eye open. Now, you don't want like to be looking for cheaty faces everywhere. Just keep your mind sharp, and if you see something, say something. Some of the things people have observed at pre-releases, and I've come across almost all of this, miscounting of damage. And that's why I always keep 2 dice, and I keep my life and my opponent's life. Misuse of colored mana, right? They tap, they don't have the right mana, but they tap and they put out a creature. Something a totally new player would make that mistake, I would say, hey, you don't have the right mana to do that, undo it. But that's why you got to pay attention. Sometimes people will try to just slip it by. Not everyone. I think, 90% of the time it's an honest mistake. But this is for the 10% of the time when it's not. Slow play is another thing that's kind of dirty. And what I'm saying is there is a rate of play in Magic, and when you have like timed events and somebody's trying to get out of losing, they can slow down, and that is not allowed. Collusion in deck building, friends trading cards, kind of things. You want to keep your eye open. Like, I know it's chaotic, but I have seen and heard of multiple times where people will like have a plan. They'll say, well, I'm going to be Jeskai. For example, here in Fate Reforged, I'm going to be Jeskai, and okay, great. Now I'm going to be, your friend is going to be like Sultai or something that won't compete for the best cards, and then trade cards during deck building. That is outright cheating, but that kind of stuff has happened at pre-releases. Outside cards brought in. This is always a major issue. It's even more of an issue on like day 2 and day 3 of pre-releases when you see somebody who has played like 3 pre-releases and they have piles of Fate Reforged cards. I mean, there's a temptation there to just bring an extra bomb with you. Anytime you have prize support, money, packs, there's a temptation to cheat. And pre-releases definitely bring out a lot of people that aren't that you might not know at your locals, and maybe there's a few extra scumbags that sneak in. Not everyone that plays this game wears a pearly white hat. That is just the way it is. You can see like people exploiting rules. Say a more experienced player tells a newer player, well, you can't do that. I try to keep an eye out for that, and I correct people, or I call judges for people, and try and protect new players when I'm there. I'm not, a grizzled veteran, but I know the rules. Things like mana weaving and other shuffling issues. This is something that we've had some highly, highly publicized people getting caught cheating doing this, banned from the game. So those people didn't just start their shuffling shenanigans when they were at a GP, right? This is something they perfected year after years of practicing, and I guarantee you those people have played pre-release events, right? Bad advice, right? An experienced player knowingly giving their opponent bad advice. Shuffling your cards, facing them. If you can believe it, I've actually seen that where somebody will take the deck and like shuffle it facing them and like look at the cards. And I talked also about the drawing extra cards on accident. This is a lot of these things so when I talk about rules, I usually give everyone one. Like if they accidentally draw 2 twice, I'm calling a judge. They do it once, or if they take 8 cards in their opening hand, I'm like, all right, we're going to pick one at random, and I'm going to put it at the bottom of your library, or you can draw 7 new cards. There's a lot of different things that can happen at pre-releases, and why is this? Well, you have a bunch of players that aren't. You have a bunch of new players, so mistakes happen. You have a bunch of players that don't hang around that shop that often. And I think if you don't come around often, you don't really care what your reputation might be. Maybe there's a lack of incentive for them to be seen as a straight up player, and they just want to come and they want to win that booster box. They don't really care because they're a kitchen tabler and they don't even support their LGS. They buy all their cars online and all that. So these are just some things that I've seen. I picked up off lists like in forums and things I've seen and videos I watched. And you just want to be aware of them. Don't spend your time trying to catch people cheating. You're there to have fun. What to do? Okay, this is the most important part, right? If cheating becomes a major issue, I like to encourage any LGS to require deck registration and swap. They do this stuff at more formal events, and it pretty much does a very good job of handling cheating. I know there are reasons they don't do it, but this is a reason to do it. Or, depending on severity, by the way, on the next point, I usually just correct my opponent, but that's easy, being 6'5", I'm 31 years old, I don't have a problem telling somebody, hey, you're doing something wrong, or hey, you can't do that. But when you're new to the game, or you're young, maybe you're 12 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, how do you, I can get why it would be hard to tell somebody who's older than you, bigger than you, hey, you're making a mistake. But if you, I'm going to give you some tips on how to deal with people, and I think if you handle it properly, you shouldn't be worried about it. One of the best things you can do is just to know the rules yourself, right? Know what is okay, know what isn't okay. So then if somebody tries to say, oh, no, dude, this is how Outlast works, or this is how Bolster works, you can say, well, actually, I'm pretty sure it works this way. And then if you get into a disagreement, call a judge. That's what they're there for. And again, don't be afraid to say something. It doesn't make you a jerk to correct somebody. A lot of times, people just, like I said, 9 times out of 10, they just don't know, and they're making a very legitimate or understandable mistake. You correct it. A lot of people are going to be thankful for that. Now, you don't say, hey, stop cheating. Cheaty face. Don't do that. Because, first of all, you're already in, tenuous area, calling someone a cheater or alleging they are. I usually give people a second chance to correct things before I freak out. Well, before I will call a judge. So if somebody does something wrong, I'll say, hey, well, you can't do that. You gotta take, you gotta undo that, or whatever the case may be. If it's not a major issue, right? Now, if it's something more like egregious, if I see they're like knowingly shaving life points or doing something stupid like trying to stack their deck or doing anything weird with shuffling, mana weaving, I do report that. If I see mana weaving, I'll say, dude, you got to shuffle that. You can't mana weave. And then I've had that happen a few times, and every single time they're like, oh, shoot, I didn't know. And they probably didn't. Maybe they did, but they probably didn't. Don't allow yourself to be bullied. So if somebody's older than you or whatever, or more experienced than you, and they try to say, no, this is how it works, just don't argue with them. Get a judge. Ask the judge, hey, we're not sure what's going on here. Also, you're going to want to be careful about accepting advice, especially from your opponent. If you guys were around for my Theros pre-release, I still remember to this day, like a year later, my opponent, like, trying to be a buddy, say, oh, man, blah, blah, blah. And then it was really what he wanted me to do, and it was so dumb. I got duped by, some tryhard trying to get rich on Theros booster packs. But that's on me. I shouldn't have listened to them. Make your own decisions. Take some time. If cheating is a problem at your LGS and the store owner, tournament organizer isn't doing anything to handle the issue, change LGSs. I mean, that's all you can do. One of the nice byproducts of being a rules enforcer is you build a reputation as that. So when I go to draft, people don't get mad if I'm like, dude, that's not how it works, because they know that, hey, he always enforces the rules, but he's actually a pretty nice guy. Like, I'm not super intense when I play Magic. I do follow the rules. I do, like, if somebody says, oh, wait, I want to, if we go to damage, the damage is done, and they say, oh, wait, I want to cast a spell, I say, tough cookies. That sucks, dude. I'm sorry. But, no, you can't go back. I try to view it from, like, an MTGO standpoint where you really can't do anything like that. When I play real-life Magic, it's not an issue for me because, one, I've never done it, and two, or I've never knowingly done it, and two, I've never, it can't happen when I play online. So when I see it happen in real life, I'm like, no, you can't do that, dude. And it's just not a big deal. I don't go in it with an accusatory tone. And that's what I'm going to talk about next with dealing with people. So the big thing with potential cheating issues is how do you deal with it? Nobody wants to be a jerk. People are afraid. I heard somebody say, oh, well, my friend got beat up for my chair's breaking. My friend got beat up for saying that. I mean, that stuff should just never happen. You don't need to worry about any of that. If somebody's threatening you for enforcing the rules, I can guarantee you they'll never be allowed back in that store again. And if they are, then you just don't need to patron that store. A lot of ways that I try to do is I try to take like a humorous or like a soft approach. Like, I'm probably being overly nice, but I'll say something like, hey man, I'm sorry if this rubs you the wrong way, or hey friend, sorry if this rubs you the wrong way, but I do enforce the rules of the game. And I think any reasonable person would totally get that. And as you build a reputation as somebody who does enforce the rules, who knows the rules, people will be much less apt to try any shenanigans against you because cheaters don't want to get caught, right? I mean, that's obvious. And then if you try to get that culture at your LGS, the more people that enforce the rules, the less cheaters will try to cheat. They'll move on to a different LGS where they can get away with it, right? If they keep getting called out or they get a reputation as a cheater, they're not going to keep coming back most times. So if you see something that looks sketch, if your opponent's mana weaving or you think they're like shuffling weird, I always reshuffle, first of all. Always reshuffle. That's the biggest place people get the most cheating stuff goes on, whether intentional or unintentional. Moving cards to the top, moving cards to the bottom, mana weaving, all this stuff. That's why I always shuffle. If my opponent picks up my deck and does something that looks janky to me, I reshuffle it myself, even before I play. If my opponent's doing something weird, I'll take all the time I want shuffling their deck. There's nothing wrong with that. You have every right. Don't like bridge shuffle them, but mash shuffle them, pile shuffle, whatever you want to do. You have every right to shuffle your opponent's deck. Don't let them tell you that you don't. If you see something suspect, somebody has like two it's day 2 and somebody has like all the bombs from day 1 and day 2 combined, and they have some crazy deck. This is a tough situation because you got to think about it. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And the key here is just to stay calm, don't freak out, and maybe you just pull a judge aside and you say, hey, I don't know for sure, but, I saw this guy yesterday and he's playing some of the same cards he had yesterday. He could have had it. He could have brought them from yesterday, or maybe he just had a very similar pool today. Or, boy, he pulled a Planeswalker yesterday and then he pulled another Planeswalker today. It seems weird. A lot of times, cheaters are cowards. That's a fact. Anybody who cheats is a coward. And if you call them out on it, even if a judge will come by and be like, hey, I don't know, this looks fishy, a lot of cheaters will fold and they won't do it again. So, don't make a scene about it. And, if you feel more comfortable just letting a judge know, that's how you want to handle it. I don't think you want to outright accuse somebody of cheating. That is, unless you have irrefutable evidence, that is never going to end well. It's going to cause arguments or worse, especially if you're wrong. That is a terrible label to put on somebody if you're incorrect, and that's why I always err on the side of caution. Even if I'm like 95% sure they're cheating, I won't even use that word. I'll say something like, oh, you can't mana weave, dude, or, oh, those sleeves, you got to switch out that sleeve. I can see it looks kind of marked. I mean, it's probably just a bunk sleeve. You probably didn't mark it, but, somebody might perceive it as that. Do you mind switching it out? And then if they get mad, you use the line, hey, man, I'm sorry if it rubs you the wrong way. I enforce the rules of the game. And if they push back again, then you call over a judge. I think it's a great, you put your own spin on it. You don't have to be a jerk. You just stay calm, play your game, and, it's not going to stop people from cheating, but, hopefully some of the things that, I've seen or others have seen will have you being vigilant. That's all. You want to be a 2/2 bear with vigilance. The best thing you can do is know, circling back, but just know your rules, know what people can do. If you're not sure, ask a judge. If you don't want to make a big deal about it, just pull a judge aside and talk to him. And, don't let it ruin your day. Look, cheating happens. And since the beginning of time, people have been cheating, right? If you're a Bible person, I don't think they were supposed to eat the apple and they ate the apple. Well, I guess that's not really cheating, but you get what I'm saying. Like, cheating is a part of culture. It's a part in every game, in the NFL, in the professional sports, professional strategy game playing like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! All these things, people cheat, right? A lot of times people are young, they don't understand the consequence, or maybe they didn't have somebody showing them how to be a decent human being, or sometimes people just let temptation get to them. And I think people who have cheated can be reformed and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to soapbox forever, but if somebody cheats, that's on them. Don't let it bother you. Do what you got to do to deal with it. Move on. Have fun. Know the rules. Protect yourself and just win. So I hope you guys have a ton of fun this weekend. Don't cheat. I know none of you guys would. I know not one person watching this video would ever consider cheating. But hopefully I've given you a few ideas how to deal with possible awkward situations that you might deal with. And it's about 6 hours before pre-release for me. So I've got a new CD to burn. I've got some more stuff to do to get ready. I've got to look through some spoilers again because I feel like I don't have a good grip of the cards. Make sure you check out the rest of the playlist. I worked kind of hard on these, so hopefully you're enjoying them and hopefully they helped. We'll talk to you again real soon. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, check out some of our most popular playlists from MTG vlogs, sick gameplay videos, new product breaks, and some insane vintage openings. I upload 3 to 4 new Magic the Gathering videos every week, so if you haven't already, please take a moment to crush that subscribe button to join one of the fastest growing Magic the Gathering channels on YouTube. Talk to you later.